All right, let's get into it. Today, we're diving into the real story behind AI and the job market. And let me tell you, it's way more complicated and honestly a lot more interesting than the scary headlines you've probably been scrolling past.
You've heard this a million times, right? AI is taking jobs. For the last couple of years, that's been the story. It's simple, it's powerful, and yeah, it's pretty scary. It's basically become the default villain anytime we talk about the future of work. But is that really the whole story? Is this powerful new tech truly the only reason we're all so anxious about our jobs? Or just maybe, is there something else going on under the surface? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Okay, first things first. To really get what's happening, we've got to figure out why this particular story, the one where AI is the big bad wolf, is so popular. Who does it actually help to tell the story this way?
So here's the central idea, the big takeaway from all the material we've looked at. AI is not the root cause of the problem. Think of it more like an accelerant. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire that was already smoldering, just making existing problems that have been building for years, a whole lot worse.
So you gotta ask, right? If AI is just the gasoline, why does everyone blame it for starting the fire? The answer is pretty simple. It's just convenient. It's a really easy explanation for a super complex problem, and that simplicity is actually very, very useful for some people.
So who actually benefits? Well, this breaks it down pretty clearly. First up, you've got industry. If you blame AI, then layoffs don't look like a tough business decision. They look like inevitable progress. Then there's the government. It's a great way to shift attention away from, long-term economic policies. And of course, the media. Robot steals your job? Come on, that headline just clicks itself.
Okay, so if AI is the scapegoat, who are the real villains in this story? Let's peel back the layers and look at the pressures that were already squeezing the economy, way before any of us had ever heard of ChatGPT.
The main thing we need to talk about is something called the quiet cost squeeze. Now, this isn't some big, sudden event. It's more like a slow burn, a steady, relentless rise in the cost of just doing business that's been happening for more than a decade now.
And what's behind that squeeze? Well, it's not one thing. It's a bunch of concrete pressures all at once. We're talking higher minimum wages, bigger tax bills for employers, energy prices going through the roof, and just the sheer cost of dealing with rules and regulations. You add all that up, and it puts a huge strain on any company's finances.
And here's the really crucial part. What did businesses do about it? Well, they had to adapt just to survive. They became leaner, they optimized everything, and they basically engineered any extra fat out of their organizations. You know that safety buffer? The extra person on a team who could cover if someone was sick? That became a luxury they just couldn't afford anymore.
So picture this. You've got businesses stretched super thin with no safety net. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, especially in a place like the UK. We're going to see why this whole situation created the absolute perfect storm for a technology like AI to come in and make huge waves.
80%. Just let that number sink in. That one single number tells you almost everything you need to know about the modern UK economy and why it's so uniquely vulnerable. So what is it?
That's the service sector. I mean, the UK has spent decades building an economy where a whopping 4/5 of everything it produces comes from services. Think finance, law, admin, customer service. It's like we've put almost all of our economic eggs into this one single basket. And here's where it all connects. What is AI really good at? It's fundamentally a tool for processing information. It absolutely excels at the exact kinds of tasks that make up a service economy. It's not so great at, say, building a car on a factory line. So without even meaning to, this economic structure basically rolled out the red carpet for AI-driven disruption. Now, this is really interesting because it busts a huge myth. The way AI is being adopted isn't one size fits all. It's mainly the big corporations, the ones with really sophisticated digital setups, that are using AI to actually replace workers. For most smaller businesses, AI isn't a replacement, it's more like a superpowered assistant, a tool to help their existing employees get more done.
But this constant push for more and more efficiency, with AI now hitting the accelerator, has some serious consequences. And they're things that don't show up in a simple jobs loss number. Let's talk about the very real human impact of getting rid of all that slack in the system.
See, when you let go of experienced people, you're not just losing a headcount. You're losing years of institutional memory, that gut feeling, that unspoken knowledge of how things actually work.
You know, like that veteran employee who just knows which client you need to call on the phone instead of just sending an email. Poof, that's gone. And suddenly, you're depending on AI vendors for big decisions, and your ability to catch small mistakes before they become big ones just goes way down.
And all of this leads to one of the biggest and most overlooked problems out there right now, something called the graduate bottleneck. And if you want to understand the job market today, especially if you're a younger worker, this is an absolutely critical idea. So let's break down exactly how this happens. Step 1, you've got millions of bright, talented graduates flooding into the workforce. Step 2, the companies they're joining are flatter than ever. They've cut out layers of management to save money. Step 3, that means there are way fewer middle management jobs to get promoted into. And the result? You're stuck. Your career stalls because the ladder is literally missing rungs. Now, AI didn't start this fire, but you can bet it's making it burn faster. And this is really the whole point. By focusing all our fear and all our attention on AI, we're letting ourselves get distracted. We're avoiding a much deeper, much more uncomfortable conversation that we really need to be having.
Which brings us right to our final conclusion. AI isn't the disease here. It's more like a really advanced mirror. It's just reflecting back at us the pre-existing conditions, the cracks that were already there in an economy that was already under a ton of pressure.
And so we're left with this question. The real challenge isn't about how we stop technology. The real challenge is whether we're willing to look into that mirror and ask the hard questions. Are we willing to actually talk about the economic decisions and the policies that made all these jobs so fragile in the first place, long before AI was ever part of the conversation?